Right guys, welcome back to another CrosseMaths lesson. Okay, today we're going to be looking at standard form. Okay, what I'd like you to do when you get a chance is pause the video, have a go at the questions in front of you, and then when you're done, unpause the video and I'm going to go through them. Okay, hopefully you've had enough time to finish it all. Okay, so I'm going to go through each one individually. I've got 6x take away 9 equals 45. Once it loads, there we go. 6x take away 9 equals 45. What I'm going to do to get rid of that take away 9, I'm going to add 9 to both sides. Okay, you want to try and get rid of all the stuff on the side with the x on. Okay, so I've got 6x, move straight down. Plus 9 minus 9 is nothing. 45 plus 9 is 54. And then if I divide both sides by 6, I should get x on its own. X equals 54 divided by 6 just gives you 9. Really straightforward, okay? Start us off, 2 marks. 0.8 times 0.8, 8 times 8 is 64. Then I've got 1, 2 numbers after the decimal point in the question, so I've got to count back 1, 2 and put a decimal point in my answer. Remember, a 0 goes before the decimal point. Bit of trigonometry, okay? Get good at labelling the sides, okay? First of all, I've got my opposite. Then I got my hypotenuse. Then I got my adjacent. Okay, once you're there and you've done those things, okay, you write down SOHCAHTOA. Okay, the reason we do that is because we want to work out whether we need to use sin, cos, or tan. You're going to get rid of the opposite because opposite hasn't got anything on it. It's not got a letter we want to find, it's not got a number. Hypotenuse has got 9, adjacent has got x. So we're going to get rid of opposite, we need adjacent and hypotenuse this time. If I get rid of opposite over here as well, I'm left with K. So I've got cos, A on top, H in the bottom right. Now, once I get over here, I want to find what x is. X is the adjacent. If you cover the adjacent with your finger, with your thumb, you'll find you're working out is whatever's left. So you're working out is cos 56 times by h, which is 9. If I take my calculator, put in cos 56 times by 9 equals 5.03 centimeters. Really easy stuff. Okay, learn how to do trigonometry. Okay, it's literally just learning a basic concept, and then you just got to repeat until it sticks in your brain. Okay, this one. Okay, we're factorising first in a 2. Before we solve, we're going to factorise into a double bracket. Now, what factorise means is you've got to take out 2 common factors. Now, we've got to work out what multiplies to make negative 18 and adds to make negative 7. The 2 numbers I can think of are 2 and 9. Now, in order to add to make a negative 7 and multiply to make a negative 18, the signs would have to be different. The negative one would have to be 9 and the positive one would have to be plus 2. Now, obviously this is going to cancel out to make an answer of 0. So either the left-hand bracket equals 0 or the right-hand one does. If the left-hand bracket equals 0, x equals minus 2. If the right-hand bracket equals 0, x equals positive 9. That one's done. 3 marks. Okay. Bit of indices now, laws of indices. We multiply the 2 front numbers exactly as we would normally. So 6 times 8 is 48. Then we add the powers together. x7 plus 5 gives you x to the power of 12. Taking away fractions, okay, I've got to make the bottom numbers the same. In order to do that, I'm going to times them together. 6 times 5 is 30. So I've got 30 on the bottom of both. It's still a takeaway question. 5 times 5 is 25 on the top of the left one. 6 times 3 is 18 on the top of the right one. Once I'm there, I keep the bottom number exactly the same as it was in the question. 25 take away 18 is just 7. 35% of 340. Okay, 10% gives you 34. 30% would be 3 lots of that. 3 lots of 34 is 102. Okay, and then 5%, which would be half of 10%, is 17. If you add 102 and 17, you get 35%. 35% would be 119. Bit of simultaneous equations, okay, quite straightforward. Just got to make sure you make the y's the same. I'm going to times the first one, all of it by 5, and I'm going to times the second one, all of it by 3. What that'll do is I'll make the numbers in front numbers in front of y exactly the same. Once you've done that, you can cancel them out. Times the top by 5, I get 15x plus 15y equals 105. Times the bottom by 3, I get 15x, take away 15y equals 75. Okay, once you're there, you're going to add them together, because if you've got a plus 15y and a minus 15y and you add, they'll cancel out. Gives us 30x equals 180. If 30x equals 180 and we divide through by 30, x would have to be 6. If I know x is 6, I can put x is 6 back in the top one. Okay, I got 3x plus 3y equals 21. Okay, let's substitute it back in. 3 lots of x, 3 lots of 6 would be the same as 18. So I got 18 plus 3y equals 21. Okay, take away 18 from both sides, 3y equals 3. That means y has to be 1. Okay, very straightforward simultaneous equations question. Normally you will get one number that is a little bit awkward. It'll either be a decimal or fraction. Okay, right then, so last one, nth term. Okay, it's going up in 5, so it's going to be 5n. Whatever the jump start goes in front of the n, and whatever comes before the first number goes after the n. It's going to be 5n. It's going up in 5, so before 3 is negative 2. So my answer is 5n minus 2. Right, guys, what I'd like you to do is mark whatever you've done so far. Pause the video now and mark it. It's out of 18. Anywhere between 12 and 15 is really, really good. Right then, so standard form. Now, standard form is super easy, okay? You've got to make standard form is comprised of a number on the left times to the power of 10 to the power of something. Now, the number on the left is always between 1 and 10. And the number on the right is how far the decimal point has to move to make it between 1 and 10. Now, I got 4 million. Now, my decimal point is starting here. It has to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, because I'm going to be using the number 4.0. It has to move 6 places to get to there. So my standard form number is 4.0 times 10 to the power of 6. Okay? All standard form is writing really long numbers in a certain way so you can do maths with them really easily. Okay, this number right here, I got 564 with 3 zeros. Okay, if I want to make that number between 1 and 10, decimal point starts by here. I'm going to use 5.64 if I want to make it between 1 and 10. So I'm going to have to put my decimal point by there. So in order to do that, I would have to times by 10. The decimal point will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So my number is going to be 5.64 times 10 to the 5. Okay, so in order for that to be in standard form, my decimal point will have had to move 5 spaces to the left. Okay, what I'd like you to do, guys, pause the video now, make sure those 2 examples are written down, and have a go at the ones on the right hand side. Right then, so hopefully you've had time to finish them. Okay, the number over here, I got 10 million. Okay, if I want to put my decimal point starts by here. Again, if I want to make that number between 1 and 10, I'm going to put it between the 1 and the 0 to make 1.0 times by 10. That decimal point has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. So my standard form number is 1.0 times by 10 to the power of 7. Same thing underneath. My decimal point starts by here. I want it between the 8 and the 9 to make a number between 1 and 10. My decimal point has to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. Okay, there is a bit of a trick to this. If you cover the first number and count how many digits you've got, that's where your power is going to be. Hopefully you got those right. Okay, if you didn't, don't worry, you're going to have lots of chance to practice in a minute now. Okay, so going backwards, writing them back in standard form. Okay, writing the following numbers as normal numbers. I got 4 times 10 to the 5. Okay, that decimal point has started by here and it's moved over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces, so I can fill those numbers in with 5 zeros. Okay, that 4 times 10 to the 5 changes just to 400,000. That's an easy one. A little bit different on the next one. I got 7.8, and that decimal point has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So I got 7, 8, and 5 zeros this time. Remember, the decimal point's got to move over, so 8 does take up one of the digits that you may think is just going to have 6 zeros. It doesn't, because 8 takes up one of them. Okay, so pause the video now, write those two examples down. That's how to put numbers back into normal numbers, because you're essentially on the top one, you just times in by 10 5 times, essentially on the bottom one, you just times in by 10 6 times. So you end up with a number that looks like that. Okay, pause the video now and have a go at the ones on the right hand side. Right, hopefully they're all done. Okay, looking at the ones on the right hand side, if you times 7 by 10 8 times, you end up with 7 and 8 zeros. Okay, that's an easy one. If you times 7.45 by 10 4 times, the decimal point moves over 4, leaving you with 74500. Because the decimal point moves over 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, just to check at the end. Okay, hopefully you got those right and you kind of understand this, okay? Have a go at some of these questions, okay? Here's task 1. Have a go, pause the video now and get as many of them done as you can. The first lot, I'd like you to put in standard form. The second lot, I'd like you to put as normal numbers. Right, hopefully you're all done with those, okay? Mark whatever you've done so far. Okay, pause the video and mark those up. Cool, right then, so write in really small numbers in standard form. So it's very similar, however, when you're dealing with really small numbers, okay, it's going to be times 10 to the power of minus 1, because the decimal is moving the other way. So I've got 0.004, okay, that's going to be 4.0 times 10. Now I'm putting the decimal point by here. I'm putting a decimal point by here. Okay, it started over here, it's moved over 1, 2, 3 spaces. So my answer is 4.0 times 10 to the minus 3 this time, because it's a really small number. Same thing with the bottom one. I want to make that number between 1 and 10, so I'm going to put it between the 7 and the 8. So I end up with 7.8 times 10. It's moved over 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, so 7.8 times 10 to the power of minus 4. All the minus means, instead of timesing it by 10 4 times, you're dividing it by 10 4 times. That's all it means. Okay? Pause the video now and have a go at some of the ones on the right hand side, please. Okay, cool. Same thing over on the right hand side. My decimal point, I'm putting it there. So I'm ending up with 6.0 times 10. Decimal point move over 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Okay, so 6.0 times 10 to the power of minus 4. Same thing on the next one. I'm going to put it between the 5 and the 7. 5.7. Decimal points moved over 5 spaces. So it's 5.7 times 10 to the power of minus 5. Easy on this one to work out the power, because you can just count the zeros. Okay, the zeros usually tell you, if you count them, what power it's going to be to. Hopefully you got those right. If you have, that's brill. Okay, I'd like you to have a go at some of the questions in front of you by there, please. Okay, hopefully you had enough of a chance to have a go at those. Okay, mark whatever you've done so far. Right then, cool. So, the multiplying and dividing in standard form, this is quite tricky, okay? This is what you'll end up getting on higher tier, okay? And intermediate. So, multiplying and dividing, okay, all you've got to do is same as working with indices. Okay, I've got to take my two front numbers, my 4 and my 2. I've got to multiply those two together. 4 times 2 gives me 8. Once you're there, I've got to take my powers and I've got to add them together. So I add my powers, 10 to the 5 and 10 to the 3 gives me 8 times 10 to the power of 8. Okay, so you multiply the front numbers normally, add your powers together. It's similar with dividing. You divide your front numbers normally. 9.6 divided by 3.2 just gives you 3. 10 to the power of 6 and 10 to the power of 4, you subtract the powers now, exactly the same as you would with indices. So 10 to 6 and 10 to the 4 gives me 3 times 10 to the 2. Pause the video now, have a go at the ones on the right hand side, make sure you write your examples down and write any notes that needs to go with them. Okay, cool, hopefully you've had enough of a chance to go at these. Same thing again, 3 times 2, multiply my front numbers normally gives me 6, and then I add my powers together, gives me times 10 to the power of 8. Same thing with dividing. Okay, I'm going to do 8 divided by 4 gives me 2 times 10. I take away my powers now. So I do my 10 to the 7 and 10 to the 4, take away to give me an answer of 2 times 10 to the power of 3. Really easy. Okay, so adding and subtracting is a little more difficult, only because you've got to put them as long numbers first. So I'm going to write these as long numbers, okay? You've got to put them as normal numbers, add them together, then put them back in standard form. So I got 4 times 10 to the 5, that's 4 with 5 zeros. And I got 2 times 10 to the 3, that's just 2 with 3 zeros. If I add those two together, I get 402, 0, 0, 0. If I want to put that back into standard form, my standard form number is going to be 4.02 times 10. The decimal point would have to move over 5 spaces. Okay, so it's going to be 4.02 times 10 to the power of 5. Same thing if you take away. Okay, I got 9.6 times 10 to the 6 is 9, 6 and 5 zeros. And 3.2 times 10 to the 4. I got 3, 2 and 3 zeros. Take those away from each other. 0 take away 2, I can't do it, so I've got to do a lot of borrowing. 10 take away 2 is 8, 9 take away 3 is 6, 5 take away nothing is 5, 9 take away nothing is 9. So if I'm putting that back into standard form now, my decimal point is going to go between the 9 and the 5. So I've got 9.568 times 10, all to the power of 2. Okay, what I'd like you to do is pause the video now and have a go at some of the ones on the right hand side. Okay, same thing over here. Okay, hopefully you've had enough of a chance to have a go at that now. I got 3 times 10 to the 5, which is 3 and 5 zeros. And then 2 times 10 to the 3 is 2000. I'm going to add those together to get 302,000. Put that back in standard form, I end up with 3.02 times 10 to the power of 5. Same thing underneath, 8 times 10 to the 5 is 8 with 5 zeros. And then 4 times 10 to the 4 is 4 with 4 zeros. If I take those away from each other, I end up with 7, 6 and 4 zeros. So that goes back into standard form to give you 7.6 times 10 to the power of 5. Okay, so hopefully you got those right. If you did, that's fantastic. Okay, if you didn't, maybe you need a little bit more work on standard form. What I'd like you to do is a GCSE question. This is going to be the last thing we do today. Pause the video now and have a go at this. Okay, hopefully you've had enough time to do that. Okay, so this is a genuine GCSE question off a higher tier paper. Okay, so I got 0.0042 in standard form. So I'm going to put my decimal point between the 4 and the 2. Okay, it's going to be 4.2 times 10. The decimal point is moved over 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So it's going to be 4.2 times 10 to the minus 4 because it's a small number. Okay, which is the same as going between them would be dividing 4.2 times by 10 4 times. So it doesn't make sense. Calculate the value of 7.2 times 10 to the 6 divided by 2 times 10 to the minus 2. Now, exactly the same as you were dividing earlier on. Divide your front numbers. 7.2 divided by 2 gives you 3.6. Take away your powers. Okay, 10 to the power of 6. 6 take away minus 2. Be careful with this because if you take away a negative, it changes to a plus. 6 plus 2 is 8. So my answer is 3.6 times 10 to the power of 8. 1 mark. Last one, okay, exactly as we just did a second ago. Okay, we're going to take away our powers. 4.7 times 10 to the 5 is the same as 4, 7 and 4 zeros. 6.2 times 10 to the 4 is the same as 6, 2 and 3 zeros. 0, 0, 0. 0 take away 2, I can't do it, so I'm going to borrow. 10 take away 2 is 8. 6 take away 6 is nothing. 4 take away 0 isn't 4. So my answer is 408,000. Okay, if I want to put that back in a standard form, my answer is going to be 4.08 times 10 all to the power of